So Multiview 3 is all finished, and like we said, I've mentioned it a couple of times, and particularly in class. But technical drawing is a language, and that means that anybody looking at, let's say, this part, whether it be in an Asian country or an African country, or in the U.S. or anywhere in the world, would be able to look at this. In Europe, they'd be able to look at this and say that this is exactly a certain size, and be able to manufacture it in their own way. So, yes, this right now has given us the shape, and yes, I totally agree that this shape corresponds to the sizing on this, and we said that we're just using this as 1-inch graph paper, right? So everything is, so this would be 6 inches, this would be 4 inches, etc. But that doesn't help us here because we have not finished a technical drawing. We have just kind of started one. So we've shown the shape, but we haven't given anyone any information as to sizes, okay? So what I'm doing is I'm starting by moving my objects slightly apart from each other. You can see that green, I'm not doing this like any kind of just estimating. You can see I still have that green polar dashed line on there, and that is helping me for alignment, okay? And I'm going to copy my text. Again, if you're doing, I would just draw all of your drawings on the same document. But look at the difference between if I copy my text that way once, okay, and then this way versus what I did now is if I do 2 copies, you can see I used polar in both cases. So I've kept the same distance off of the object in all cases, and that makes a big difference. It looks a lot better. Again, being specific here, I'm not calling it side, I'm calling it left. And we already knew that that was front, and we know that this is the top, okay? And a lot of people will just go ahead and edit the text. That bugs me right there, just because, I mean, you're doing everything to perfection with a tool that allows it. Why not just go ahead and move it and get it, perfect, okay? So I'm trying to think if we do hidden lines first. I think we'll do the hidden line first, okay? In this object, okay, if I were to look at this, and you got to think, I think the best way to think about this is if you're drilling a hole. If I were to grab a drill bit and drill a hole through here, I would want to know that once I get through 1 inch, I wind up in here. I don't go all the way through the object. Whereas if I drilled through here, right, I would end up going all the way passing through the object, okay? So we want to know, and the same thing going this way. Same thing through this way, okay? There's stuff that's happening in these areas. So we want to give the person the opportunity and information to see what's happening behind the object or inside of the object if we at all can, okay? So I furnished everybody with, on your layers, with a hidden layer, okay? Now again, you have to go back here and look and make sure that things correspond. So you say, well, where is this line happening over here? And we know that to be 2 inches if we go back here. So I'm going to just do this. I'm going to just say offset 2 inches. And you're like, well, what? That didn't change anything. Yes, it did. It actually changed that, or it didn't. But now if I go ahead and do that, I have a hidden line, and you can see it is dashed, okay? We can change the scale of those hidden lines if we need to at all. So that tells me, again, if I'm drilling a hole with a 4-inch drill bit, hey, be careful when I come up here because there's only 1 inch of material. I should look back at here. Whenever I see this, I want to look somewhere else for a reference. Okay, and then the second one I would have is, well, look at this, 1 inch down, right up in here, I also have that missing thing. I typically just go ahead and draw the line, because this is another helpful thing about alignment. If the corners are totally aligned, if this is sitting flat on the ground and this is sitting flat on the ground, if I do this, right, then that puts me in the absolute perfect location, no questions asked, right? And then I can just go ahead and trim and trim. All right. The other method to that would have been exactly what I just did before, which was just to have offset 1 inch from the top and come on down. But then you do have to then go ahead and remember that you are placing that on a hidden layer. Okay, so it does not matter which way you get there. I always use my given locations here to find my locations elsewhere. All right, and so that's it. So hidden lines are pretty simple. Okay, and now let's talk about dimensioning. So now let's put the numbers on the object. So dimensioning is where you're going to go ahead and, you know what, I'm going to call it quits at that because we'll keep it really simple with hidden lines. So that way I can do like a really super short, quick video for center lines as well on drawing number 4. And that gives everybody a place to be. So now you know hidden lines. You've seen drawing number 3 with multi-views, and you're ready to go on drawing number 4.